You and me. Asset. Madness. Practice. Plan is. Payday. Devoted to lead. Where you succeed. Potential indeed.
Been a while.
Flow Express.
We've done a few changes, you know. You see the logo, the Temple of New African Thought. Still kind of the same spirit. I'm saying that we're going to come even stronger.
New Analog Productions.
Some youth behind the movement.
Temple of New African Thought.
We got the Bible and the Mom in the back.
Let's go.
Peace and power, we gotta get free. I am because we are because of me. Before there is a we, there has to be a me. Our ancestors showed us the light so that we could see spirituality, culture, and history. Temple of New African Thoughts gon' get the victory. Yes. If you ain't down with the movement, then don't pretend to be. Putting in work, we're destined to build a legacy. We need excellence in the community. Malcolm said consciousness precedes our unity. Theory with the application is what our people need. Africans centered all day, yeah, it's true indeed. You can catch us reading our books. Systematic oppression, they gonna get shook. It's the temple of TNAT. No time to be lazy, the war's on. Let's do it for our babies. Reppin' B-More, Tubman City. Our revolutionary soldiers, let's get busy. Roll up your sleeves, stop trying to be pretty. Taking reparations now, keep the pit. Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support. Theories put into actual practice of sport. Sand code for FLO with an accurate joint. Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support. Theories put into actual practice of sport. FLO, sand code for with an accurate joint.
I greet my peeps with peace and power, bro. We need relief from beef. The beast is powerful. Never mind them cowards. We out here to keep what's ours, though. Plant seed in the street, make flower grow. Roots from the deepest earth. Keep the scientific speech with the way I teach with words. Our mission to reach high. We know what each deserves. Never mind the industry. We in the streets to serve. Yo, not customers, communities distributing gospel. Two brothers rhyme and rhythm apostles who attack the track, subtract the whack while taking you black to black on this mission impossible. With intelligent minds at the table, free range food thought instead of the swine. Purpose, fill the basket, not a casket. Show them how to fish the farm to get on your grind. A limited time left. We living on hostile grounds. The whole hood's like a spiritual lost and found. But cotton money, the new boss around. Follow the hollow live. I don't swallow to wash it down. Return to your temple in order to reclaim your true relevant worth. A new heaven on earth in the name of your African savior. With ancestral thoughts to guide us to a new legacy.
Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support. Theories put into actual practice of sport. Sand code for FLO with an accurate joint. Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support. Theories put into actual practice of sport. FLO, stand code for with an accurate joint. The war's on, what you gonna do? Talk reckless on Facebook and talk trash on YouTube. Liberation is a lifetime lifestyle. Black and brown people been victimized for a long while. Get to know yourself and the enemy. Wanna see how great we are? Study your history. Nation building's a must, most certainly. Temple of New African Thought is till eternity.
On firm foundation through fellowship. Real conversation for liberation. The fake is irrelevant. Real media topics to open your optics. Education to grow your pockets. Control your profits. Exercise mind, body, and soul. Daily vitamins from hymns. For your rides on the road, they say his story's history. My story's a mystery. Rewrite the chapter to reclaim the victory.
Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support.
Let's build, brothers.
Put into actual practice of sport. Stand code for FLO with an accurate joint. Assembling bars to build a temple of New African Thought. Stand tall, no lack of support. Theories put into actual practice of sport. FLO, stand code for with an accurate joint.
So, we might say,
CL Smooth.
Yeah, I can hear myself.
And we're here to tell you the. And that's a fact, baby. Now you gonna kick some lyrics like this. Come on. Walk a fine chalk line and put the needle to the.
Peace, 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 peace. Hopefully you are tuned in tonight. I haven't been on for a while, y'all. Pardon me for that. This is your girl Pier Larkin, aka a Warrior Queen Speaks, and I'm on the Conscious Black Business Network. So let's get into this information. We drop every time we do a show. If you want to stay up with the family, you have to go to Facebook, and the page is Conscious Black Business Network group. Find Conscious Black Business Network online. Is it consciousblackbusinessnet.com? Okay, I always forget. I'm sorry, y'all, because I want to add other part to it. Yeah, so if you want to know what's going on there, if you want to go back and find some shows, also things about the Winkler Investor Group, if you're interested in learning about real estate. So some things, to keep up and to find out what's going on in the community, which is what the Temple of New African Thought and the Conscious Black Business Network present to the community. Also, to find me, go to warriorqueen.club.com, warriorqueen.club, and my email is warriorqueenclub@yahoo.com. So let's just, and right here, back on the wall, as you can see, this is the number that you call in, 641-715-3570. The pin is 618-185, and then *6, then 1 if you want to make a comment. And hopefully I've given you, all the information that you need in order to get in contact with Conscious Black Business Network, Temple of New African Thought, and myself, Pier Larkin, aka a Warrior Queen Speaks. And let's just get into it tonight. It's so many things that were going on that I really didn't know what to talk about. But you always, that when I'm speaking, I'm always coming for my sisters. And even if it sounds like sometimes the things that I'm saying are harsh, I don't even know if that's true. If I really say things as harsh as I can say them, or I may not say them on air, but it's never done in a tone or in a vein of hatred. I love us enough that I have to say it, or we should say it to one another in a way that we understand that we are expressing concern, because I don't know what you guys are looking at, but we are in a bad way as a people. Anywho, the show tonight, I don't say the show tonight is called How I Became Conscious. Conscious. Let me throw these hands up. Conscious. How did I become conscious? I almost forgot. And then I saw a video from another sister on YouTube, and I also follow her on Instagram, because consciousness has layers to it, and it's a rabbit hole, so yeah, I believe that Minister Ausar, he does a very he has a very good definition for consciousness. And because to me, consciousness has nothing to do with dashikis and head wraps and African beads and stuff like that. That's a look. Consciousness is a state of mind of well-being and doing. But nonetheless, I decided to do this show, like I said, because I almost forgot. How did I come into consciousness? And the sister's name is Divine Stargate on Instagram. And she said that somebody asked her, well, how did you become conscious? And I actually watched a video. This was maybe about a month ago. And I'm glad I watched it, because I honestly forgot. And she said that how she became conscious was when she began to look inwardly and to make observations about herself. It always starts with us. And that's my message that I will continuously drive home to brothers and sisters. But on this platform, know this: I come for the sisters because I know how important we are, and we need to understand our power. So that's what it came from. Just give you a little background on Pier, um, aka Warrior Queen Speaks. I was not always this. I don't show all of it on air, but I'm a bit feisty and a bit fiery. I have no problem with speaking my mind. I tone it down for the show, but anyway, uh, nonetheless, I wasn't always this way. I was not always this confident. I was not always this assured. It came from me really making an observation of myself. When I was 26, I realized I was like a late bloomer. I didn't know pretty much. I had no direction in my life. I was a terrible employee. Uh, yeah. And it's amazing because when I had gone on from the place, I used to work at this insurance company. It's a very popular insurance company. I'm not going to say it on air, but I worked at this insurance company, and that place was like it was like an incubator, I guess. Kind of like it helped me to become the person that I am now, because I do believe that I am a self-reproaching person. I know how to reproach and check myself. I'm not saying that the truth is always more, we always are willing to accept it, but and you shall know the truth, isn't that what it says? And the truth shall set you free, but it's the truth. It's not going to always feel good when you hear it, but nonetheless, we need it. But I was a terrible employee, and it started with, on the job. You know how it is. You work for somebody, or and amongst the employees, they always have their favorites, and their favorites are not, and their favorites are not necessarily the best employees, but they have their favorites. Everybody has their, people that they like and stuff. But I had a terrible work record. I just I was a terrible employee. I have to be honest with that. And I can't remember what my supervisor called me into the office for. I can't remember. But she called me in, and we got into a discussion. I can't remember. If I ever remember, I'll bring it up another time. But nonetheless, I was displeased with her ability to supervise. And she had a level of favoritism, and it didn't have to do necessarily with job performance, because she let her friends, get away with murder. She let her friends do certain things, and you know how it is. But I brought that up to her, and I told her that you show favoritism, and I can even remember her eyes welling up a little bit. She was tearing up, and she immediately deflected, and it was like, no, I don't do that. But, I knew otherwise. But what happened was, in that moment, to her defense, she pulled up my work record. And she said, well, you look at your work record. You always calling out, and you always this, that, and the third, and you don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't do this. And at that moment, when she said it to me, I was about 25, 26. I think I came in the door when I was like 23. I left when I was 26. I was there for 3 years. But anyway, at that moment, it was like a spiritual kind of thing, when you have been presented with some information that may make you uncomfortable, but you have the choice. And that's what this world is about. And that's what this life is about: free will, of whether or not you can accept or you're going to deflect. And at that moment, I was like, you know what? She right. I do have a terrible record. I'm not the best employee, and I can do better, and I can be better, and I can be on time. And just let me paint this picture for you. I had no kids at the time. I still don't have any kids. No relationship, not married, any of those things. And we had the luxury of coming to work as early as 6:30. If you came in at 6:30, you could leave at 2:30. If you came in at 7, you left at 3, 8, 4, 9, 5. And me in my uh laziness, I was not organized. I'm still working on organization to this day. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm a lot better, but it was like I made the conscientious decision to not make a schedule for myself. I had the luxury, and springtime coming up, and I'm like, man, I'm coming in here all times of day, 9 and leaving at 5. And when the springtime come, I don't want to be sitting here. But anyway, those things did not register to me until she kind of put that information in my face. And I realized that. I was like, man, you coming here all times of the day, and you could have the luxury of leaving at 2:30 or leaving at 3. 3 is even better than 4. You know what I'm saying? And I just say, you know what? You are that unorganized that you are cheating your own self out of being happy. And I said, I was so lazy that it was like when I was late for work, I would call my mother, 25, y'all, 26, 25, 26, and call, my parents or whoever to take me to work. I just felt entitled, like people owed me something. And I realized that. And it wasn't until then that I realized that, you know what? You have to change. You have to change. If you don't ever want somebody to come back at you, because that's what they're going to do. Know this. And what I realized too at that moment was that it did not diminish what she did. And I think that's what we have to learn sometimes. So sometimes we get into a sparring match, and we want to defend our character. You bruise somebody's character with the truth. You can. And it's like, well, you did this or you did that, and rightfully so. She could do that because I was doing it. But what I realized at that moment, and this is where empowerment comes in. This is something that I'm very big on with my sisters. Because I feel that a lot of times we don't feel empowered, and we don't realize that we have the power to change anything. Always remember that when you are in a situation and things are not going right, you bring yourself into the situation, and you can't change other people, but you damn sure can change yourself. And that's what I'm about. We all can improve every day. I'm not perfect, but there's some little things that I've learned along the way that continuously help me. And that is that we have to learn how to be, we can become empowered when we learn to accept what we do wrong. I'm not saying it's a jagged little pill, y'all. I'm not, truth ain't for, it's not for suckers. So yeah, but I took that pill, and it was like, okay. And I'm gonna tell you this much. What I learned in that moment too was that she didn't change. She didn't change. She was just like, she deflected. But what she got out of the situation had nothing to do with me. I do feel at the time I was practicing Islam. I was into religion and things like that. Right now, no, I don't practice any religion. I'm into spirituality. But anyway, I do feel that there was a spiritual awakening going on with me, because I actually became the person that I am now. It was like I guess a rite of passage for me, to come to this point and to be at this place where I can speak freely about myself, my experience, and the things that shaped and made me. And to have us understand that you can be empowered from anything. I don't care how negative it may look. You can be empowered from it. And I was empowered from it. It was like, okay. And I remember I was coming from another place, and I came to this job, and I brought the same terrible habits with me. Brought the same terrible habits to this insurance company. And it was a point in my life where I couldn't run from myself anymore. It was like, you need to check yourself. You need to check yourself. And that's what I did. And I remember, spiritually, what now has been identified, and I do agree with it as God consciousness. The God in me was seeking that. I was asking the God in myself, like, well, what am I doing wrong? And that's the question. If you want to know the answer, you have to ask the right question. And I know that question was correct because I convicted myself. I asked what I was doing wrong. God is perfect. And I don't see God as a person, but God is perfect. So it's not what God is doing wrong or what God is ever doing wrong, but what we are doing wrong or what I am doing wrong in this instance. And what was really honestly spoken to my spirit and what I still carry with me to this day was that, it was laid out to me. My life was laid out to me. It was like, you are ungrateful. Every little thing that God has given me, I've thrown back at God, or we say thrown in God's face. I threw it back. I was never grateful. It's like I wanted these things. I wanted nice things, or I wanted things, but I wasn't willing to work for them. I wanted a certain life, but I wasn't willing to work for it. I wasn't willing to make sacrifices for that. And that was spoken to my spirit, that, that conviction came. It was like, I can't remember if it was all together, but it started a series of me just having this awakening with myself. And I realized, at this moment when, the second half of this conversation I was having with myself, no longer with my supervisor, but now with myself, when I was like, what am I doing wrong? And that's what was revealed to me, is that you want all these wonderful things. You want the best of life, but what do you put into it? You only get out of it what you put into it. You are lazy. You're unmotivated. You want things, but you're not willing to work for them. You're a slacker. I was a slacker all day. And it was like immediately after I accepted that, and I'll never forget the God consciousness in me was speaking and said, you want these wonderful things, but you can't even appreciate the little things that are done for you. You're so ungrateful. And it's like, wow. And I said, okay, and from that day on, and at the time myself and my older sister were living together, and she saw my transformation. I got up. I said, you know what? I started to sit there. My mind started to work. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to work get to work at 6:30 so I can leave at 2:30. And then I realized sometimes it was hard for me to get there at 6:30. So I settled in on getting there at 7. But nonetheless, I made a commitment to myself. And after that, when I started to clean myself up, now get this. It did not mean that she was going to stop what she was doing, because she came at another way. I mean, it was like when I changed that about myself, when she had that to no longer throw in my face, it was like, well, let me come from another way. She had the other supervisor, running behind me and stuff like that. And if I took my cell phone out and sat on the desk, she was just nitpicking, you know what I'm saying? Because she couldn't come that way anymore. So that is empowering, and it led me to realize that I am the first cause. I have power. You have to convict yourself. Whatever it is in your life that you are dissatisfied with, or, something that is causing you dis-ease, start with yourself. And that's how that third eye starts to open up. That's how our consciousness starts to work. Once again, you can't change other people. You cannot change other people. Understand that. And a beautiful thing about this life and dealing with people is that I realized when I was younger, I don't have a power struggle. I'm not one of those people. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to tell me that I'm right. You can have your own opinion, but it also feels good when somebody else can recognize that characteristic in you. And that's what I was told. I remember a sister told me that, well, you don't have a power struggle. I don't. And that's what I carry with me right now. I don't want to control people because I don't like to be controlled. Yeah. So you have to start with yourself. When you are wrong, I know it's hard, y'all. I know it's hard. It can crush the ego if you let it. But when you are wrong, say that you're wrong. Say that you're wrong. You know, don't try to I just saw a meme the other day and it's been circling that way it says, you know, have you noticed how some people would rather stop talking to you than to admit that they were wrong and that they have to apologize for something? That's messed up, ain't it? They know they wrong about something, but they're gonna stop talking to you because it's easier for them to remove themselves from the situation than to take responsibility. You don't want to be like that. Who wants to be like that? I don't know. I don't want to be like that. Um, and let me take you some steps back. I remember, and this is when my I can't remember the year exactly. Maybe it was like 2000, 2001. But my supervisor, it was just like hell at this job, y'all. It was hell, just a hostile work environment. She had her little goons and her little henchmen and stuff. I was stressed the hell out on this job. And I'm not a sickly person. I had my immune system was betraying me. You know, this job was making me sick. It was making me sick. And I remember one thing I'll tell you about me is that even though I developed into this fiery person at times, and I don't want anybody to be afraid, you know, but I am. I will speak my mind if I don't agree with something. But um I remember this is before the transformation. This is before I started to to be transformed inwardly. I decided that I had enough of my supervisor. And I was going to this job to kick her, you know what? I got tired of this woman picking at me, you know, and I am a person, I do not like nitpicking. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Nitpicking is a pet peeve of mine, and I will get at you for that. Say what you mean and mean what you say. But before I had convicted myself, see, I had, you know, made in my mind that I was going to whoop this woman's ass. Excuse my French. I was going to put the paws on her. And when I'm pushed to that point, I'm telling you, I have not had a whole lot of fights in my life, but I'm not going to talk about it. All I envision in my mind, I'm serious. I can go back to that day. I wasn't driving at the time, but I was on the bus stop. And I was going to make one of the worst decisions in my life. I just saw myself going to this job and I'm closing my eyes because I'm seeing it just the way. Got my Kemal on, you hear me? You know, Muslim sister. And I'm telling you, I just saw myself going through the door, getting on the elevator, getting off on the 5th floor. And when I hit that corner, God better have been with her. Because I was going to tear the fur off of her. I was going to tear the fur off of her. And before I got to that stage, you know, spiritually, I called my baby brother, Storm, rest in peace, Storm. And I spoke to him. My brother was like, you know, that's not a good decision, yo. You know, he was like, you know, at the time, well, you know, in Islam they call it your jinn. My jinn was on me. My jinn was on me hard. You know, my evil spirit, Jinn, jinn. And I was just going to do something because I had arrived in a place where I felt like I had done all that I was supposed to do, which was not true, because the thing that I hadn't done was convicted myself. You know, I hadn't looked at Pier and honestly saw, I'm sorry, y'all, my eyes are burning, and honestly saw, you know, what I needed to change about myself. And if I hadn't called my brother, you know, I could have gotten an assault charge, you know, and then depending upon, you know how people say people do things in a blind rage. You know how you think you're doing one thing, and if you're in a blind rage, you may go past that. And that's how some people end up losing their lives, because you just get so, you know, you're so enraged that you go beyond the threshold and you do something that you cannot undo. And Thank God that I was rescued from my own, leaning into my own understanding. I hadn't done enough. And this is why I talk and I do this show. And let me stop right here just a little bit and just remind you that if have something that you can offer to the conversation, please feel free to call in 641-715-3570. Again, the PIN number is 618-185 and then *6 and then 1. But this is why I'm telling you this. We have to start with ourselves. It is a jagged pill to swallow. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. But when you can confront yourself, there isn't a person on this earth that you will be afraid to tell the truth to. But you have to start with yourself. And myself, Minister Ausar, who was here in the studio, and Brother Sankofa, we were just having a conversation, not per se. What were we talking about? We were talking about this. We were kind of talking about this, right? We were talking about no, not consciousness. No, we were just talking about how at certain levels of, I guess, ignorance, we'll say ignorance, that sometimes we will see something that's wrong and we won't say anything because we don't want anybody to be able to turn around and say what we're doing wrong. So we will be quiet about things that we should be speaking about or addressing, but we won't say anything because we don't want to be convicted. And we have to that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I had to clear something up because I was telling Minister Ausar too, early, that I don't choose to give advice a lot of times. Discretionary, I'll say this much. I give it with discretion, but I like for people to become empowered. I know that people do need guidance in certain instances, but I use that ability to give out advice with caution. But anyway, we won't tell each other the truth. We are afraid to be convicted. And if you are one of those people, and I think Brother Sankofa just said that too, that you got, on the flip side of that, you have people that are very quick to tell other people what's wrong with them, but the moment somebody tells them something about them, it's like, man, you don't open up Pandora's box. They ready to fight, they ready to stab, they ready to shoot. Fireworks are going off, and you don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. When people are saying things to us, I know it's hard. It's hard to accept, but we have to accept these things in order to improve and to become better people, because ultimately that's what the goal is. The goal is for us to become better people, and so that we can leave a legacy of that. As you can see in our community, due to the disenfranchisement, we already know the various things that have taken place against African peoples that have facilitated the condition that we are in now as a people. But we have to redevelop a characteristic of truthfulness. We have to develop a characteristic that allows us to check one another in a healthy way, but it's hard for us. That's why it's hard for us to receive. We get so wrapped up sometime in the messenger that we don't listen to the message. I was just saying it to another brother that, and that's what I realized, once again, going back with my own story, that I could have easily deflected, and we could have gotten to a big, fiasco at the time when she said, well, you this, and you don't come to work, and you don't do this, and you don't do that. And I chose to accept what I did wrong. It's like, yeah, you wrong. It can be, it honestly, can be a liberating thing. I'm not saying that it cannot hurt at times, but you also can be liberated from it. You know, when you stop allowing it to hurt you, nobody else can hurt you with that. Because if you ever are in exchange, have you noticed that when you get into an exchange sometimes, and if it becomes heated, that certain people will pull out that card if they know that it's a sore spot for you, and they use it, and it's like it only had nothing to do with the argument, but they'll pull it out just to harm you, you know, just to hurt you, because they know they can. And the reason why it hurts you is because you have not confronted it within yourself. And from my experience, when you don't confront things, they're going to confront you. They're going to find a way into your life. They are. They're going to find a way into your life. And where you had control, where you, if you would have just confronted it, now it's going to show up in a lesson. And it's going to show up in a lesson. And this lesson, you know, is going to teach you. And sometimes it's some of the harshest lessons. So this is why it's important to understand, and why I'm telling you how I became conscious. Conscious is not, you know, because I hear this, you know, it's thrown around so much now. You know, I'm conscious and conscious and conscious. And we think because we put on dashikis and we wear ankhs and we wear, you know, cowrie shells and, you know, costumes, that means consciousness or sentience, and it's nothing like that. You have to become your own best friend. You know, you have to be willing to tell yourself some very harsh truths. I remember, and I can use another example for you. When I lost weight 4 years ago, I lost 64 pounds. By the way, I did gain some weight back, but it's not 64 pounds. But when I got real with myself, you know, I've always been a shapely person, but there's a difference between being thick and being fat. And when my knees were hurting and my feet were hurting underneath the, you know, the weight of my feet, I knew I had to get, you know, I had to get right with myself. I had to convict myself. I had to change some things, you know. And that's what it is. Change makes us can make us uncomfortable, but we can honestly learn from change. And this is what I'm ebbing you to do. If you know, we got some brothers listening to the show, cool, but sisters, you know, I'm really speaking out to us because I see how we handle ourselves. I see how we handle our men. I see how we handle our kids. And I'm not beating up on black women at all, because we'll get into that. We'll get into the psychology. First of all, the reprogramming of the black family. But anyway, nonetheless, we're not empowered. And we have to become empowered in order to become a community again, and globally. So that's what has to happen. If you want to develop your consciousness or your conscience, you have to convict yourself. And we can start with something as small as just look at your life, you know? Just look at your life. Gotta take me a drink right now, y'all. This is iced tea. It ain't no steel reserve anything, but anyway. Start with, look at your life. Just look. Start to make an observation, an honest observation of your life. And question what you see. Question. Are you satisfied with what you see? And if you are not satisfied with what you see, something as simple as, okay, you want to lose weight. Even you making the commitment to lose weight, you can find other jewels within that. You know what I'm saying? So This is just start with that. Start with okay, you notice that you're not organized. Well, how did I become organized? You know, talk to people that are organized. Ask them what's going on. And really, I realized that, uh sometimes we don't know how to change, too. We don't know how to change. We don't even know where to start. This is a spiritual thing. It is. It's a spiritual thing. It's a psychological thing. It's an emotional thing. So start with that. Start with something that you see in your life that you don't like. Start with yourself. And I ain't talking about nobody else. Start with yourself. Look at yourself and see what it is that you don't like. That you have if you do have you know, a fiery temper, or, you know, you're a bit temperamental. Understand why. I mean, just look at it. Just look at yourself and see what it is. And then look at how it has affected your life. Has it affected you positively? Has it affected you negatively? Just look and make an honest observation of your life. If you satisfied, cool. But if you're not satisfied, this is when the work begins. This is when you have to sit down with yourself and you have to make an honest, excuse me, you have to make an honest decision to become uh, a better person. So, yeah, that's how I started. That's how I came into consciousness. I was a slacker. And what's so refreshing about it is that when I had gone to, gone on and left that job and gone into some other jobs, uh, man, I'm telling you, I went from being a slacker and to like just working so much overtime. I worked so much overtime one year that it was like they didn't know what shift I was on. Cause I was in there on the 3 to 11 shift. I would come in there, if I could work in it. Oh, I have a question. Who was my greatest influence? Hmm. Wow, wow, wow. Does it have to be somebody famous? Whoever. Who was my greatest influence? Sheesh. Hmm. I honestly don't know. I haven't I don't know, y'all. Like, I have to be honest with that. I don't know. I would have to hmm. Nope. I don't have a particular person that I can pull out honestly to who's my greatest influence in consciousness. No, I don't have one that I can think of right now. It may come to me later on, but right now I can't pull one up, pull anybody. But thanks for the question though. I have to think about that a little bit more, honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you who my greatest influence was. But anyway, thanks for the question. So just going back into what I was discussing as far as my consciousness. Um, be kind to yourself. I will say that to you. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Uh, the earphones hurt. I, it's amazing that you know that you changed. Now, of course, on my new job, none of the people knew that about me, that I was this person. And I used to tell people that I was lazy, and it was like, no, they can't tell. They can't see it. And it's a good feeling. And sometimes I didn't allow myself to feel good about it because I think I still think nothing. I still had some lingering guilt and shame about how lazy I was. So when I told people that, it was like, and they said like, it was like, you was lazy. That's just like when I tell people that I'm outspoken and I speak my mind. It was like they can't see that I was ever this timid person. Of course, when I was in my neighborhood, I had confidence to a degree, with my people that knew me. But when I was outside of that, it was like I was a quiet person. I was reserved. I was afraid and unassured. I'm not that person now. But anyway, yeah, it's a rabbit hole, y'all. Start with something. I promise you, just start with something in your life that you are agitated with. I am not talking about, well, I don't know. Start with something. Start with something that you want to change. I was about to say, don't start with something like um you want to fix the roof on your house, or no, because I really do believe that if you started with that, I would hope that you would start with something inwardly. But sometimes, a lot of times, you can start a project, and you can get other, you started for one thing, and then you gain something else from it. So I believe that if you wanted to, you saw that you wanted to paint the walls in your house, I think that could, when I'm thinking about it now, I think that there could have, some spiritual connection, in that you could learn that you didn't know how to paint, and you took, you found out how to paint online, and then you commit yourself to it. You bought the materials and you did it, and it actually came out, kind of nice or whatever. And you become proud of yourself. That's a confidence booster. So yeah, start with something. Start with something. Start with something. And if it's something outside of you, I believe that, something like I just explained, like that's not a spiritual thing. Learning how to paint and you committing yourself to something. But I do believe that is an instrument. I believe that it could boost your confidence. It could start you on the path of, well, if I can do this, then what else can I do? See, you see what I'm talking about? It can snowball into something else. So you looking at it one way, but honestly, you can gain so much, something else from it. So just start with something, I would say, that you want to change in your life. And even if you start with something outside of yourself, once again going back to painting a wall or whatever, and committing to it and actually accomplishing it, you will start to gradually make your way inwardly to yourself, because that's what it's about. It's about you gaining confidence. It's not that you're not going to make mistakes. It's not that that you're never going to be wrong. That's not what it's about. But it's about you becoming empowered and understanding that God gave you power. We're not without power. We're not without strength. We're not without resources. And that's what you want. You want to be empowered. And then you also want to be empowered so you can turn around and help somebody else become empowered. I have a very good friend that I gained from the last job that I was before I started doing this. And if you don't know, I'm also a nail technician, and I do men's nails. I do manicures and pedicures and stuff. But my last job, I was a corrections officer. And my friend Grace, she's a sweetheart. Grace reminds me of myself. And I'm not talking about you, Grace, if you ever listen to the show, but she's a sweetheart, and she's just so giving. Her name is apropos. She was named Grace, but she really is a graceful person, and she's very giving, and she just gives sometimes to a friggin' fault. But I I do believe that we became friends because I could see in Grace a level of myself that I used to be. I was very gullible. I was very giving to a fault. I would just give to people and there was no reciprocity. And it was not a good it taught me some things. So I know that I went through what I went through in order to teach, to tell my friend, when I hear her going through certain things, look, you gotta brush it off. You can't keep giving to people that's not giving to you. What is to become of you if people keep making withdrawals from you and no deposits? Huh? What That's emotional intelligence. For me to be able to tell her that, because if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through, I wouldn't be able to tell her that. You can't keep you can't keep making withdrawals from yourself and depositing into other people, and these people not making deposits into you. Eventually you won't have anything. You won't have anything. So I say these things for a reason. You becoming conscious of your power, of your magnitude. Look, I'm learning every day my own power. My own thoughts. I'm working on that right now, but just power of my own thoughts, because now I do have the consciousness to understand it. That's where it begins. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be patient with yourself, because also when you develop that patience for yourself, you can also learn that patience with other people. you know um yeah, you learn patience with other people, and you learn that sometimes people operating on autopilot, man. They operating on autopilot. They don't know what the hell they doing. You have to stand back sometimes, and you just really have to just look at them like, whoo, you just have to look at them. They just they don't know. They don't know. I was look, I'm just telling you what just happened to me today. Somebody was trying me, y'all. I'm sitting in here, waiting for the minister to come, to the studio. And the little street dudes stand around sometimes. They actually had left. I had gone somewhere to get something to eat, and I came back and I was just sitting outside waiting. And I'm sitting here just eating my food. And these Negroes standing around the gate. And this one, he just decides that he's gonna try to open up the gate while I'm standing there, like I'm, like I'm scared of something. I'm sitting here and I'm just looking at him. I said, "Really?" That's all I said to him. I just said, "Really?" And he left like, don't test me. You know what I'm saying? He thought because I'm sitting here, I'm a female. Negro, please. I mean, just see that right there. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't cuss him out. I can, but it was just like, when you know better, you do better. Some people just like, what the hell? I'm sitting here and he's trying to, finagle the gate like he getting in. And what you gonna do when you get inside? I mean, the gate not hard to open, but what you gonna do? What you gonna come in here and do? Fool. Anyway, it was just like one of those things, like, dang, some people are really off they rocker. They really gone. They really off. But anyway, I was tell you that, sheesh. That consciousness right there is like, I get to see some things out here. I see it where I live in the city. This is still a city now, but in my part of the city, and I come here and I see the same stuff, and it's eye opening. We got a ways to go as a people, but it has to start with you. It has to start with you. It has to start with you. And this is why I do this show. Yes, I would love the platform to grow. I would love for it to grow, and I would love for women to, the sisters, to start coming in and start calling in, and we start talking. And because really, pivotal, the community is really going to shift with when the mentality of the women shift. I'm not saying men are not important, not at all, because I don't try to diminish men, but when women shift, yeah, we have to be willing to convict ourselves, y'all. It is. I'm never going to tell you it's easy. But once you can push past the threshold of pain, once you can push past your ego, because that's really what it is. Our egos that are holding us back from receiving a wealth or abundance spiritually. Once you push past that, you realize what you've been depriving yourself of. So, you okay, Minister Sar? You agree? Oh, okay. But you may hear him over there a little bit. He's always on the computer and stuff. But anyway, yeah. So I say these things. I think I'm lulling myself to sleep. The sound of my own voice, y'all. I've been known to put people to sleep. Some people say I have a nice voice, but anyway, I really do this show, and even sometimes when I don't feel like I have the right content or I want to come in here and whatever, I have to remember the greater mission. And that is because of the love of my people. I do love my people. I love my people so much. I know all of us ain't gonna get it. I know that. But nonetheless, I have to do my work. Pay attention. We've lost a lot of our juggernauts, y'all. We've lost a lot of our elders and now ancestors. We lost Dr. Ben last year. We lost Dr. Francis Cress Wilson the beginning of the year. And we just lost Dr. Sabi. These people have lived too. I think, didn't Dr. Ben live to 97? He was almost 100. Dr. Francis was 81. I think she was getting ready to turn 81 in March. And then we just lose Dr. Sabi, who I think he was going to be 82 in November. And I think the brothers on Sign of the TV said something that was profound. This is the changing of the guard. So we have to, it is. I do feel like that. I really do feel like that. I feel that new leaders are emerging. And we've been given a blueprint to follow. We've been given a blueprint and even to add to. You know what I'm saying? We stand on the shoulders of these giants. We have work to do. But the work and why there's so much confusion in our community is because we think because we want to start with history first. And no, you gotta get down. Let's just start with something basic, y'all. Let's work backwards. Just start with right now what you have, and start with what you are not happy with, displeased with. I don't care if it's weight, whatever. Start there. You don't like the way your skin looks. You want to eat healthier. You want to incorporate. Start somewhere. Just look at your life. Pick out something. Don't pick out a whole bunch of things. Just pick something out. Pick a project and work on it. Pick it. And that's where that's Brother Sankofa, y'all, in the corner. Just pick some project, because Brother Sankofa is helping your sister with organization, y'all, because I am not naturally an organized person. I struggle with it. I'm telling you. See, look at that. Even the warrior queen has an Achilles heel. But nonetheless, I know that it's important that I have to work on it. I have to fix that. Yeah. So just start with one thing that you don't like. One thing. And Never stop learning is what I will tell you. There'll always be something to improve on. Always. There will always be something to improve on. And what the example that I gave earlier, like I was gonna say, start with something I guess spiritual, but I said even you picking something like a project to paint. Do you know that there's still jewels you can learn from that? If you don't know how to paint, if you never painted a room, or even if you did, the fact that sure, if you've ever painted a room, painting ain't no joke. It is not a joke. And I don't mind painting, but I mean, the prep work and all that stuff that goes into it. You can get some muscles from painting, seriously. And if you can do that and commit to this project, do you know that, like, I remember the first time I painted, my confidence was like, it was like, oh, okay, you can learn some jewels, even from things that you don't even think you can learn jewels from. You can gain some caveats. So pick something. You tired of the paint in your bathroom? Okay, buy the stuff and paint it and fix it up and decorate it the ways you want to. That is something. I'm telling you. You'd be surprised what you can gain from that. And then pick something else. 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 Always keep growing. And you'll be surprised, because that's where what empowerment does. It gives you confidence. It gives you confidence in yourself. It gives you confidence in your decisions. It does. And that's what this is about. We don't have to be victims, y'all. We don't have to be victims. We don't have to continuously give our power away to people and to things. And speaking to you sisters, I'm speaking to my sisters right now with this. We don't have to walk around feeling bad about ourselves. We don't have to. Just start with yourself. Start with yourself. Start with one thing that you see that you want to change. And then, your finances. I don't care. Just start with something. And you will be surprised, the snowball effect. Because if you do it and and you're satisfied with what you've done, it's going to open the door to something else. It can, let me say that much. It can open the door to something else. It give you the confidence to confront something else. And that's what this is about. It's about empowerment and gaining confidence. God knows I wasn't always the most confident person. I wasn't. I'm not saying I'm overly confident. I'm not. But have I gained confidence? Oh, yeah, I have. I used to be intimidated by men. Dig that. And, intimidated to talk to men. Now, guess what my job is? And a job that I gave to myself. I use my nail technician's license to specifically do men's nails. Dig that. Huh? He said, now the men are scared of me. I think some of them are. But anyway, I ain't a man eater. Anyway, but yeah. He's over here cracking up. But yeah, so anyway, y'all, this is my time. Hopefully I didn't put y'all to sleep. I'm glad to have been back on the air, but this is Pier Larkin, aka A Warrior Queen Speaks. You are important, you are valuable. Develop your consciousness. Start with one thing, build confidence, build character, and then pass it on. Pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. Peace. I don't know what the show is going to be titled next week, but thank you for tuning in, the Conscious Black Business Network. Peace, y'all.
Peace and power, family. Be sure to stay tuned. We're going to put another link up for the next show. Brother Sankofa is going to bring a powerful message, family. You definitely want to take part in that. Stay on the line if you're on there. If you're looking at it through YouTube, make sure that you go ahead and look for that other link coming up very soon. If you're on the call, stay there. If you're listening to the dial, stay there. Peace and power. Hold up, family. It's the Flow Express checking in. I got my man